What's up, guys? We're about to watch some creepy videos that will make you feel like a bad dream.
Let's get into it.
Videos like this make me wonder how often people are buried alive. I think this would be anybody's worst nightmare and something really horrifying to experience. This video is from Russia. It was released on January 24th of 2022. A man was pronounced dead and he was taken to the morgue. Not long after arriving at the morgue, he starts to wake up. I'm not sure what ended up happening to the guy after he woke up and climbed out of the bed, but it is said that there's a condition where people will start to succumb to injuries or certain illnesses, but their heart rate is so slowly beating that doctors can't detect it. I'm glad that he woke up and got out of bed before he was buried alive, or possibly embalmed while alive.
Poor guy was starting to look like Frankenstein. Uh, that's crazy. It does make you wonder, like, how many people like that actually has happened to.
All right, Professor Hawking, course is clear. Let's send it.
Let's run. Gravity, do your worst.
He's rolling it. Look at the speed. Huge 360 and the backflip sticks it clean.
Grab the dates, grab your tinfoil hats, because an alien spaceship is going to be in our skies come end of November, beginning December. Yes, it's the infamous 3-Eye Atlas, and it just seems like the closer it gets, the more unexplainable it becomes. You know, the interstellar object making its way towards us that professors and media outlets are all insisting might be alien technology. Well, a literal YouTuber has taken probably the clearest photo of the object yet, somehow better than anything NASA has shown us so far. And let me tell you, this thing does not look like a comet. So sometime in the beginning of October, 3-Eye Atlas has officially been hidden from view for us here on Earth as it passes behind the sun, only to emerge around the end of November, and be at its most visible point from Earth mid-December, at its closest approach to our planet. But right before it went behind the sun, it passed by Mars, which NASA has an active satellite orbiting, the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, MRO. And NASA previously mentioned it's reallocating a bunch of its space telescopes and satellites to observe 3-Eye Atlas as it passes by, of which included MRO. But just recently, they put up a notice on their site saying, due to the lapse in federal government funding, NASA is not updating this website.
Well, wow, isn't that convenient?
Yeah.
NASA just now, after they got everybody hyped up, is going to conveniently say, hey, we're not going to be updating the website anymore due to funding. That sounds suspicious to me, guys.
Conveniently, just right before the expected Mars flyby of 3-Eye Atlas. Does this mean they're not going to be taking a photo of it anymore? Whatever this means, it's just incredibly questionable timing. And every photo NASA has released of it so far has just been a blurry, pixelated blob that anyone can dismiss as just a comet, which it might be. But somehow, amateur astronomers are taking better pics of it from here on Earth than the biggest space agency in the world. YouTuber Dobsonian Power used his backyard telescope to take this photo of 3-Eye Atlas, which is honestly pretty wild if you ask me. I mean, the shot is fairly blurry too, but we can clearly make out a shape that is quite angular, maybe even somewhat, I don't know, triangle shaped. And digitally enhanced, this sure doesn't look like no comet to me. Comets are supposed to be fairly round and maybe lumpy, but this has like, I don't know, sharp edges and long protrusions coming out of it. Here it is, reconstructed with AI. And I know this is AI, it's far from accurate, but damn. And why is this still more clear than anything NASA has given us with their billion-dollar telescopes so far? Because the news coming out about this comet is just non-stop. Like, there's a new update every single day, with alleged leaks from European astronomers showing internal data that is not congruent with that of a comet, who also admitted the government is intentionally covering up the truth of 3-Eye Atlas, albeit this was an anonymous post on a certain website that shall not be named. Another leaked NASA memo allegedly claims its acceleration is not consistent with Newtonian predictions, meaning it's speeding up and slowing down on its own, and that its surface appears to be made of a highly reflective composite material.
I honestly don't see what the big deal is. If you go outside every night, you could see something popping off in the sky.
Well, this thing is 15 miles long.
Hmm.
And it's supposedly communicating with us now, ever since it made it to Mars.
And what is it saying? E.T. come home?
Something like that.
Professor Avi Loeb also revealed the object is glowing from the front rather than from behind, as is expected from a comet, and also seems that it might be emanating its own light, which led some, including him, to suggest that it may be a nuclear-powered craft. Now, more recent news came out that 3i Atlas is massive, at least 33 billion tons, which is much, much bigger than we previously thought. And according to scientists, naturally occurring objects in interstellar space are just not supposed to be this big. Mass spectroscopy analysis reveal it's also rich in nickel and poor in iron, which is more like a manufactured alloy than it.
That's it, guys. That's it. I want the receipts. I want to know where's the weigh station that weighed this 33-ton biatch. Anybody have any ideas here?
There's a bunch of bullshit.
Oh, wow. Entertainment purposes only, though.
Is a natural rock. Its trajectory is almost impossible to have occurred naturally, within 5 degrees of our solar system's orbital plane and passing by Mars, Venus, and Jupiter along its path, going directly behind the sun from Earth at its closest approach to the sun, which Professor Loeb stated the odds of this trajectory happening at random are like 1 in 20,000. 3i Atlas will emerge back into view for us on Earth sometime mid to end November, and then be at its most visible by Earth-based telescopes during its closest approach to us here on Earth in the beginning to mid-December. You are not going to be able to see it with the naked eye, and honestly, you're probably going to need a high-powered professional telescope to look at it yourself. But hey, if it does turn out to be artificial, it'll be pretty wild knowing an alien craft is drifting right above our heads at the end of this year. That is, if it doesn't reroute its path towards Earth when it's hidden behind the sun to invade our planet.
So let me get this straight. They're getting us all worked up over this, and we can't even see it. Unless we all get together and get a big-ass telescope.
You guys, look at these eggs I bought from Walmart. I tried to break the yolk. They're like hard and rubbery.
You can skip Icky Etsy. I opened up my Pepsi, and this is what it started doing.
I think what creeped me out the most was seeing that food truck worker totally grab a pigeon off the street and
Chicken tenders.
and then just go back into the food cart, serving up that food to the public. What y'all think he was gonna do with that pigeon? Let us know in the comments.
This is going to be the last home healthcare video that I'll be making. I have to double check my book, but around that time, I was always writing things down whenever they happen, but I have to double check and let you know. So let's get into it. So around this time, I was packing a bag about, 3 days, sometimes even 2 weeks, and I'll be going to these clients' houses. I was working for this home healthcare company. And so I packed a bag for the 24th, 25th, and 26th of December, and I was at this woman's house. Now, I had already been to her house months before, I had been there consistently for months and nothing ever happened in her house. So here we are. This is a small house. We're up in the living room and we're dancing. She likes to dance. And so we're up there dancing, having a ball. And I noticed a lot of new decoration. I'm like, oh, you've been decorating? She's like, yeah, the other girl, whenever she's on shift, she helps me decorate. I'm like, cool. The doorbell rings. I go to the doorbell. I go to the door. I open the door and it was my coworker, the woman that she was just talking about. And she brought this chair. And I'm like, you brought a chair? She was like, yeah, it's adding to our decoration. This is something that we like doing together. I'm like, okay, cool. That was sweet. So she brings the chair in. When she brought the chair in, she set it all the way at the end of the hall. And it had this painting that was over it. So I'm like, okay, that's sweet. So we continue our stuff. The lady leaves. We continue dancing. And then the woman wants to get in bed. So I put her in bed. Fast forward to after I put her in bed, I put the motion sensors down just in case she gets up. So the motion sensor.
You already know where this is going. Her coworker just brought in a haunted item. And how do I know this? Because we just got done watching the movie The Conjuring, The Last Rites, I think. And it was all geared around to an item being brought into the house. So this is why we say on our other channel, What in the World channel, you got to watch these things you bring in the house, whether you're going to thrift stores or, family, friends when they get you gifts and stuff. You got to really think twice what you're bringing in the house. Because I already know where this is going. I bet you it's all caused from this share.
You got to watch where you're getting things from.
Got that right.
Straight up. Energy is contagious.
They just started going crazy. And I looked at the camera and she's laying in bed. She's knocked out. So finally I stand up, and when I stand up to go check and peek my head around the corner, there's this dark figure sitting in the chair that my coworker had just brought into the house. Can't make out if it's a man or a woman just yet, but it was a very dark figure, and I heard stomping, but it didn't sound like feet. And then I look over and it has like this cane in its hand, just stomping it on the ground, on the floor. So finally I get up, I run over to my duffel bag, and I get my Bible out, and I get to praying. And it's just sitting there looking at me like, and I said, so you just not gonna go? Like, you just not gonna leave? So then once I started to get aggravated and I started to really be really forceful with the words from the Bible, that's when it stood up and it walked into the bathroom, and then it walked back out. But when it walked back out the bathroom, it did this high jump in the air. Like, okay, what was that about? After it did that little high jump, that weird thing, it disappeared from in front of me. But I heard the motion sensor, so I walked over to the camera. And when I walked over to the camera, I see his face. Yes, it was a he in the camera, and he's pointing at my client. So, of course, I'm aggravated. I go back there and I flick the lights on. I didn't care if she was asleep. I was just worried because I know you ain't here for her. Not right now. Not right now. So then fast forward, I played it off to the woman like, oh, do you have to use the bathroom? I'm so sorry that I flicked the light on like that. And so she's like, oh, no, I'm okay. So she lays back down. Once I go back out to the living room, I get to praying. I get to drawing crosses over all the doors, over all the windows. But next thing you know, I feel something walk behind me.
You know what's interesting about that? That a lot of stories of people passing, a lot of stories have mentioned that the people that passed away would see things before passing. So somehow, be it that they had someone around them and they brought it up, like in this lady's situation, or in her case, where the lady brings up something. I'm not going to spoil it. She's going to get to that part, but people just, I guess they thought it was some sort of hallucination that the body goes through. But in reality, I mean, if you listen to this lady's story, she was just someone taking care of the older lady. She also seen something, not just the lady that she's taking care of. So it's just interesting, easy to blow it off and say, oh, it's just a person and something that the body goes through. But in reality, it seems like it's a lot more than that. Maybe it is spirits that come through at that time to come pick up a spirit. Maybe there's some sort of memo in the astral world or in the other dimension that they can see in the other realm that lets them know, hey, look, that spirit's about to leave its container, its avatar. Just saying. I've heard a lot of stories, and that's interesting.
Yeah, it is.
But when I felt it, I turned around, and he's right here in my face, like right here in my face. I almost dropped to the floor, y'all, but I couldn't do it because then he'd be thinking that he had one up on me. So that entire night, he would just randomly pop up in my face. He would randomly pop up on the sofa, or he would be sitting in that chair that my coworker brought. Now, this is the scariest part. The scariest part is the fact that right after he left up out of my client's room, I could hear her gasping for air like she needed me. And so I ran in there and I sat her up on the edge of the bed and I'm like, are you okay? And she said that she said, I'm not ready to go yet. I'm not ready to go. Now, all this time, she's never talked like this. And so I'm just like, you ain't got to go yet if you don't want to. I think what made me more nervous about it is the fact that it was a dark figure that came to collect her. At that point, I was just like, do you want to pray with me? We had never prayed together before, but in that moment, she wanted to pray. So we prayed, right? So fast forward to while we're praying, he just sat down. Like, I wait. So I think that scared me too, because what has this woman done in her life that is so terrible to have a dark figure come to collect her and take her somewhere, and not even a prayer can stop it, can stop her from going with him. Now, here's the even scarier part. I got a feeling to look outside. So I went ahead and I looked out the window. And when I looked out the window, there were 2 other dark figures standing on the sidewalk. That scared the crap out of me, because I know y'all better just be here for her. So I hear knocking on the door. Of course, I'm not answering it because I just looked out the window. I saw y'all out there. I'm not opening the door. And so the woman, she starts getting hysterical, and she is like really going crazy. I'd never seen her like this before. And so do y'all know, like, probably not even 24 hours after I left, that woman passed away. She passed away. And in my head, I felt so bad. But in my head, I was thinking like, oh my God, this family gonna think I'm the Grim Reaper.
That's crazy. So after she went through all of that, the Grim Reaper got what he wanted anyway.
Still got that. So
yeah, that's crazy, because there is something to it. I remember talking with my dad, like in the final moments before he lost consciousness, and he told me, he said, I think it's that time. And it is something. I think that, a human knows. They have that realization, that moment, whether it's family members coming through to collect you, loved ones, or the Grim Reaper. There is something to that.
interesting. Anything you guys know? Anything you like to share on the topic? Let us know down below in the comment section.
Used to actually have devices where they could communicate with each other through these glass sphere objects, through the power of the ether. And bear in mind, this was in the 1800s. They had far more advanced technology than we do have now. And the buildings back this evidence up as well. They essentially had FaceTime in the 1800s through these devices. Not to mention, they could create free energy through the buildings and the shapes of these buildings, through those big antennas that you can see on the buildings that would harness atmospherical energy through metals like copper and mercury, specifically red mercury. So then you have to ask the question, where did all this technology go? And why did they remove this free energy technology? And you have to understand that they removed this technology because almost all of it utilized free energy from the ether as the 5th element. And the ether was available to everyone, as the ether is infinite and it was free. But the Rockefellers could not profit from the ether because free energy and not have a profit to it. But then during World War I, all of these buildings alongside the ether were destroyed. And then all of the documents about the ether were completely fabricated. And that's exactly why you have the electricity you have today, because the profits are extremely high and they can actually sell it, unlike the ether.
Wow. So basically, not only were they more advanced in the 1800s, they had free energy. And that could possibly be the reason why World War I even broke out, was to eliminate all this technology worldwide. And did I hear that they had FaceTime?
Yeah.
What?
In fact, we had it in our other episode from our other channel, What in the World channel, where it spoke about that. It spoke about that technology. They were on the phone and it had a screen on the wall. Remember that episode?
Okay.
Yeah.
They're coming! The sky's opening up! 3i Atlas is the mothership! Hide now, all of you! Hide while you still can!
Get us and leave the store.
This is a creepy video coming out of New Orleans, Louisiana. This was captured by a woman and her girlfriends. They were just out enjoying the night, dancing, when a random man comes up to her and starts basically freaking on her. Didn't think anything of it until they saw his facial expressions, and it completely weirded them out. Tons of people are chiming in saying, you've met a New Orleans vampire or it's a demon. And honestly, looking at his facial expressions, truly terrifying.
Now, I don't know if you guys have heard of this or not, but supposedly there's a lot of vampire activity going on in New Orleans. This is one guy on TikTok that we were following who claimed to be a vampire. We're going to share some more of his videos over here. But that could be a vampire. It could just be a person on drugs.
Or he could add a couple too many drinks.
I mean, he looked like he was just in a daze, like possessed or something. Look at his eyes, guys.
Look at this. Comment below and tell me what you think.